some stuff that he think I don't know about him. He think he got one up on me. I don't know. He think he got a mole somewhere. I told him I got a mole.
The boxing world has been shaken to its core with the shocking news that Tank Davis has been placed into federal custody due to allegations of match fixing in his controversial fight against Lamont Roach Jr., just days after rumors of a potential investigation started to spread. Things have taken a much darker turn. Fans are hopeful that the commission will handle the situation correctly. It was truly disappointing for Davis not to be declared the winner over what seems to be a technicality, but it could be corrected in the right way. The situation began when reports revealed that the referee in charge of the fight, Steve Willis, had provided crucial information that backs up the claims that the match was manipulated. Fans and analysts have been questioning the outcome of the fight, especially considering that it ended in a majority draw, even though Roach appeared to have done enough to secure the victory. With federal authorities now involved, it looks like these suspicions are more than just doubts about the fight's outcome.
So I think Lamont Roach, I think he landed more punches throughout the fight. I think Tank was used to, figuring it out, having that slow start, figuring it out around the third, fourth round. And I think
From the moment the final bell rang, controversy surrounded the result of the fight. Roach had outperformed Davis in several rounds, and many felt he had earned a clear victory. However, everything changed in the 9th round. In a surprising turn, Davis took a knee in the midst of the action, something nobody had expected. Referee Willis began the count, but halfway through, he suddenly changed his decision. He waved it off and ruled that it wasn't a knockdown. That single decision altered the entire outcome of the fight. Had Willis counted it as a knockdown, Roach would have won the round 10-8, which could have been enough to secure the victory on the scorecards. Instead, with the call going in Davis's favor, the fight ended in a draw. Roach was left stunned, and fans were furious over the result.
What's your thoughts when you first heard it?
That they wasn't going to return it?
Yeah.
I mean, I expected that. I don't really see them doing that. Tank is too big of an attraction. New York, I felt like for a while.
Davis's explanation for taking the knee was, to say the least, bizarre. He claimed that his hair had been freshly done with too much grease, and when he started sweating, it dripped into his eyes and burned, causing him to kneel. Fans quickly dismissed this excuse, calling it one of the most ridiculous things they had ever heard from a fighter. Critics pointed out that fighters often get sweat and blood in their eyes, yet none of them just decide to kneel during a fight. Roach was furious after the fight, stating, "If you take a knee, that's a knockdown. That's just the rules. The referee started counting, so why did he stop? They stole this from me." Roach's team acted fast, filing an official complaint with the New York State Athletic Commission, demanding a full review of the fight and the way it was officiated. However, the controversy didn't end there.
If you take a knee, you need to lose like 10-8 that round at least, no? And plus the corners go up and put a towel in the face. That's a disqualification for sure. I'm talking about the rules.
What made things even worse was a chilling comment Davis allegedly made to Roach on the night of the fight, where he reportedly told him, "They ain't going to give it to you." At the time, many assumed Davis was just talking about the usual politics of boxing, where the favorite fighter often gets the benefit of the doubt. However, in light of the match-fixing allegations, that statement has taken on a completely new meaning. Did Davis already know how the fight would end before it even started? Was the result prearranged? These are the questions now fueling a full-blown federal investigation. Davis himself believed he had won the fight, describing it as close but competitive. "I thought I won a very competitive fight. I'm not saying I steamrolled him, but clearly, I thought I won," he said. However, the federal authorities became involved after Roach's legal team enlisted high-profile attorneys who pushed for a more thorough investigation. They highlighted suspicious betting patterns leading up to the fight, with a strange amount of money being placed on a draw. A draw is one of the rarest outcomes in boxing, so the unusual betting activity raised major concerns. Investigators started looking into whether inside information had been leaked to bettors, who may have known in advance that the fight would end in a draw. Then came the biggest bombshell. The revelation that referee Steve Willis had provided crucial information to the authorities.
It should have been a knockdown, one. But that's why I'm yelling at the referee, like, keep counting. Like, you tripping, keep counting. That's a knockdown. Because if y'all didn't notice, he started the count.
While the full details of what Willis said haven't been revealed, sources suggest that he confirmed there were external influences affecting his decisions during the fight. This confirmation was enough for federal agents to move in on Davis. The arrests are as surprising as they are significant. Davis, who has had his share of legal issues in the past, now finds himself in what could be the most serious situation of his career. Davis spoke about Roach, saying, "I've known Lamont since we were kids, so we came up in the amateurs together. I knew Lamont was serious. He was coming in there to fight. If the allegations are proven true, Davis could face not only a suspension from boxing, but also criminal charges that could land him in jail." Boxing insiders are already speculating about how this will affect his career moving forward. Some believe this could mark the beginning of the end for Davis, while others think his promotional team, led by Al Heyman and premier boxing champions, will do everything they can to protect him and keep him fighting. However, even if Davis manages to avoid legal trouble, the damage to his reputation could be irreversible.
I feel like when my back is against the wall or against the ropes, it's like, it's time to show up. So it wasn't really hard for me to focus because all I had to do was do it.
Social media has exploded with reactions to the news, as fighters and boxing personalities have weighed in. Devin Haney, one of Davis's biggest rivals, wasted no time mocking him, posting, "Damn, first he fakes injuries to duck fights, now he's fixing fights. Ain't no way y'all still rocking with this dude." Oscar de la Hoya, a longtime critic of Davis, tweeted, "I've been saying it for years. Tank is protected. The truth always comes out." Even Teddy Atlas, the veteran boxing analyst known for his no-nonsense takes, called the situation a disgrace to the sport. Despite all the negativity, Davis still has some supporters. He responded, "I'm still rolling with him. I saw all the critics talking, but I think he's one hell of a fighter, and I think he's still the top dog." However, things are taking a turn for the worse. Davis's name has now been removed from several boxing rankings, and Ring Magazine has officially dropped him from their pound-for-pound list, replacing him with David Benavidez. The backlash is already impacting his career in real time. If the investigation uncovers more evidence, things could get even worse for Davis. There's already talk that the New York State Athletic Commission may revisit and potentially void the fight result entirely. If that happens, Roach could be declared the rightful winner. Not only would Davis lose his position as one of the top fighters in the sport, but he could also see his championship belts taken away.
They reversed the result of your fight.
Yeah.
Should they reverse the result of that fight as well?
It just depends. Like if that changes the whole fight, if that gives Roach a victory, give him the victory. That's how you keep the integrity of the sport, right? That's why they suspended me, right? To keep the integrity of the sport. So
As Davis sits in remand awaiting his next legal hearing, the big question is whether he will fight his way out of this situation or if this will be the moment that marks the end of his career. If the federal authorities have enough evidence to charge him with match fixing, he could be facing not only a ban from boxing but also potential jail time. Some are already drawing comparisons to past boxing scandals, noting how Floyd Mayweather was once accused of controlling judges and referees throughout his career. However, while Mayweather was never caught in anything this severe, Davis may not be so fortunate. If the allegations hold up, Davis could go down as one of the biggest scandals in modern boxing history. Reflecting on his previous experiences, one opponent shared, "He hit me with a good shot, but there were times when I thought, damn, this guy is super slow. I could have taken advantage, but I think I was boxing too much in the beginning." Davis now finds himself in deeper trouble than anyone expected, and the boxing world is divided on whether he can recover or if his career has been permanently damaged. Rolly Romero, one of Davis's past opponents, believes that Tank has the ability to adjust and secure a win in a potential rematch. However, his words have stirred controversy. Speaking to the media, Romero said, "Roach's performance was so surprising that even Roach himself might not have expected it." This statement raised eyebrows. Was Romero implying that Roach got lucky? Because if there's one thing the boxing world has agreed on, it's that Roach was the better fighter that night. It wasn't luck, and it certainly wasn't a fluke.
Tank, you lost that fight. I mean, the only reason they gave you the fight was because you would make more money as a champion, but there's no way it's a draw, and they didn't call it a knockdown. If they called a knockdown, you lost.
Roach outboxed Davis and would have likely won if it hadn't been for the questionable officiating. But now, with Davis under federal investigation for match fixing, Romero's comments take on a deeper meaning. The way Romero described Roach's performance made it sound like a once-in-a-lifetime event, something Roach could never replicate. But was it really? Roach didn't just land a few lucky punches. He controlled large portions of the fight, made Davis uncomfortable, and exposed weaknesses that no one had truly tested before. Romero's attempt to downplay Roach's performance might be his way of protecting himself after losing to Davis. After all, if Roach, a fighter not typically considered elite, was able to give Davis so many problems, what does that say about Romero, who was knocked out by Davis in the 6th round of their fight in 2022? When asked about his fight with Davis, Romero brushed it off, saying, "Everybody has an off night." But things got even more controversial when Romero addressed the knee incident. "None of the punches hit him," he said, referring to Davis's strange decision to kneel during the fight. This is a damning statement, considering Davis had claimed he went down because sweat was dripping into his eyes. If Romero, a fellow boxer, says that none of the punches landed, then why did Davis go down at all? That question still remains unanswered. More importantly, why did the referee start the count and then suddenly stop? Romero himself admitted that if the knee had been counted as a knockdown, Davis would have lost. That moment alone proves just how crucial that single decision was in determining the outcome of the fight. But let's be honest, there's more to this story than meets the eye.
Punches are being thrown, it has to be a knockdown. I've heard some people saying, "Oh, that he should be disqualified. He went back to the corner." I don't buy that, to be honest with you. I mean, I think that's a warning, but it's a bit of a bizarre situation for me. Like, there's a lot of people in boxing.
What Romero didn't say is just as important as what he did say. He completely avoided mentioning that Davis's name has come up in a federal investigation over fight-fixing allegations. He didn't bring up the fact that Davis allegedly told Roach before the fight, "They ain't going to give it to you." Nor did he address the growing speculation surrounding the unusual betting patterns on a draw, which may have been more than just coincidence. Instead, Romero focused on the idea that Davis simply had a tough night and would make adjustments. But how can Davis even focus on a rematch when he might be facing criminal charges? That's the real question. Ryan Garcia, another past opponent of Davis, also weighed in on the rematch discussion. Speaking to ES News, Garcia said he believes Davis will win the second fight, adding that Tank just underestimated Roach and expected him to fold. But that brings up another controversial point. Why did Davis expect Roach to fold? Most likely because he knew something the rest of US didn't. If Davis went into the fight thinking the decision was already going to favor him, then of course, he wouldn't have fought with the same urgency. He wouldn't have trained the same way. And that's exactly what we saw in the ring. Davis fought Roach like he had nothing to worry about. He didn't take Roach seriously, and when Roach kept coming at him, Davis looked confused, almost lost. It was one of the worst performances of his career, and Garcia's explanation that he was simply caught off guard doesn't fully cover it.
Did you think it was a draw? No. You thought Lamont won? You thought Lamont won? By how many rounds? I don't know.
What makes this even messier is the fact that Roach and Davis had a $250,000 bet before the fight. Davis bet that he would knock Roach out, but when the fight ended in a draw, it was unclear whether Davis ever paid up. If he hasn't, that adds another layer of controversy. Davis was willing to gamble six figures on a result that didn't happen, despite allegedly having inside knowledge of how the fight would go. That alone raises major red flags. If Davis truly believed he would get the knockout, then why did he fight with such little urgency? Why did he take a knee? None of it makes sense unless you start looking at the bigger picture. The good news for Roach is that a rematch is already in the works. Whether it happens in 2024 or 2025, both sides have expressed interest in a rematch. However, the reality is that a rematch can only be fair if the corruption surrounding the first fight is fully exposed. If Davis is found guilty of match fixing, How can anyone trust that the second fight will be any different? More importantly, should Davis even be allowed to fight again if he manipulated the result of a professional fight? Shouldn't he be banned from the sport? The worst part of all of this is how it's damaging boxing as a whole. The sport has already been struggling with poor judging, shady business deals, and fights that take years to happen. We may never see this fight again. It just won't happen. Davis doesn't like hard fights, and we've seen it over and over again. He fought a drained Ryan Garcia, a very inexperienced Rolando Romero, and he won't fight Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, or Pitbull Cruz again. If one of the biggest names in the sport, Tank Davis, is involved in a match-fixing scandal, it's another massive blow to boxing's credibility. It would be even worse than the controversy surrounding Floyd Mayweather's handpicked opponents or Canelo Alvarez's questionable scorecards. This would be outright corruption, and if Davis is guilty, it means boxing has a major problem that goes beyond just one fighter. Meanwhile, Davis is still trying to control the damage. Despite being in remand, his team is working overtime to shift the narrative. They want people to believe this is just another case of Davis being unfairly targeted. But let's be honest, Davis has been involved in too many controversies for this to just be bad luck. From his past legal troubles to his run-ins with the law, and now being under federal investigation, this is starting to look like a pattern. Boxing fans are growing tired of it. Right now, Davis is fighting two battles, one in the courtroom and one in the public eye.
How much they throw it enough.
Can you describe what the feeling was like in the ring? And was it to get the towel out, to get the burn out of your eyes, or what was going on?
I didn't want to get caught. I didn't want to get caught while my eyes was burning. And you know, like, you can get knocked out like that. So I'd rather take the...
He's losing both battles. Even if Davis gets out and the rematch happens, his reputation will be permanently stained. No matter what happens next, there will always be an asterisk next to his name. And if he somehow manages to win the rematch, critics will just claim it was another fix. Lamont Roach Jr. may have been robbed the first time, but he's won something even bigger, the public's respect. If there's one fighter who has emerged from this situation looking better than ever, it's Roach. He was the underdog, the guy who wasn't expected to win, yet he exposed one of boxing's biggest stars. Now, no matter what happens in the rematch, people will remember the night when Roach made Gervonta Davis look beatable. The rematch is nearly locked in, and this time, the stakes are even higher. After their controversial first fight, which ended in a majority draw, Roach Jr.'s promoter, Gary Jonas, has made it clear that negotiations are almost finalized. While he didn't reveal all the details, Jonas stated that the rematch is very close to being a done deal. In my mind, it's a done deal, but there are formalities, he said. That statement alone has sent the boxing world into a frenzy. Fans are eagerly waiting for an official announcement, and it seems inevitable that the rematch will happen.
Nah, to be honest, I really made it competitive, for real, to be honest. But for sure, Lamont's a great fighter. He got the skills, like I said.
Jonas also highlighted a key factor that could shift the outcome this time around: Davis's mindset. You've got Gervonta, who's probably going to be angry, probably woken up, probably more focused, Jonas said. This represents a major mental shift from where Davis was before the first fight. At that time, he had been talking about retirement, acting as if he had nothing left to prove, and barely promoting the fight. Now, with his undefeated record technically still intact, but his aura of invincibility shattered, Davis has no choice but to come in fully focused. Anything less, and Roach Jr. could do what he nearly did the first time: walk away with the WBA lightweight title. We literally saw the mental breakdown of Tank, Jonas continued. If you got that elite level IQ, you saw it. He was intimidated by Roach, and it was baffling to see. Davis's reaction seemed to show fear, and Jonas believes it was clear that he was intimidated by Roach. This insight into Davis's mindset could be key in understanding what went wrong the first time. Of course, it wouldn't be a Gervonta Davis fight without controversy. The first bout between these two wasn't just close. It was filled with questionable decisions. The biggest of these came in the 9th round, when Davis took a knee out of nowhere, leading referee Steve Willis to start counting as if it were a knockdown. However, after some pleading from Davis, Willis stopped mid-count and allowed the fight to continue. Had Willis completed the count, Roach Jr. would have won by unanimous decision and become the new champion. Instead, the fight went the distance and ended in a draw, a result that left Roach Jr. and his team furious.
But the thing about Tank, you can't count on Tank to get tired because his conditioning is out of this fucking world. He can fight 20, 30 rounds if he wants to. 12 rounds ain't shit. Tank can go. So, yeah, Lamont, he didn't do enough early.
Roach's team wasted no time filing an appeal with the New York State Athletic Commission, arguing that the knee should have been ruled a knockdown. The commission acknowledged that Willis made a mistake, but ultimately refused to overturn the decision. That only made things worse, confirming what many had already suspected. The system is rigged in favor of fighters like Davis. Roach Jr. took to social media to make it clear he wasn't backing down. Responding to rumors that he was suing over the result, he wrote, "Look, man, I'm going to tell you all straight up. I ain't suing nobody. STFU. My team submitted an appeal on my behalf. What does it look like not having a team that doesn't pull the trigger on something they know was wrong?" That post alone tells you everything you need to know about how Roach Jr. feels heading into the rematch. He believes he was robbed and is now coming back with even more motivation. The first time around, he wasn't supposed to stand a chance. Just another name on Davis's resume. But now, he's the man who exposed Gervonta Davis. And this time, he's coming to finish the job. What do you think? Share your thoughts below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates.